Eric is in Long Island. We haven't talked to him in a long time. He likes the NCAA, not as much as the Eagles, but he does like the NCAA. Eric, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What's going on?
You know, Dog, how could you not like this time of year with the tournament starting Thursday, free agency and football starting Wednesday, start talking to teams today? Let me touch on three, four quick things with the NCAA. Number one, last night was an absolute disgrace with the show. I mean, the only positive about last night is by 7 o'clock, you could basically turn to ESPN and hear their bracketology show with Billis and them. Because to me, when Barkley and Kenny Smith are sitting there with question marks about teams, it's time to get off of that. So good thing TBS got it done in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, the problem that TBS has, I know Barkley did a good job. I was funny with Rasmussen about Oklahoma. And Barkley's funny. He's funny. But they have too many guys who are wrapped up in the NBA who they cherry pick into the NCAA tournament thing. And Barkley's a perfect example. He doesn't know any of these teams. So he jumps in now. He knows Auburn a little bit, but he doesn't know any of these teams. And they have those guys be their experts, while in ESPN, Greenberg, Jay Williams, Billis, Vital, they live college basketball. It's a different situation. Go ahead.
Absolutely. 3 quick points, though. Dog, I knew Oklahoma wasn't going to be in trouble, and I'll tell you why. I was out in Vegas January, beginning wild card weekend, and at the time that I was out there, I put a little bit of money on Oklahoma to win the national title at 30-1 odds. If you remember correctly, in early February when they came out with the top 16, Oklahoma was seeded number 16 as a 4 seed. I didn't believe the committee at that point in a month was going to drop them from a 4 seed to the 20 all the way out of the tournament. And to me, I don't have a big issue with them versus Oklahoma State in this sense, because if you look at Oklahoma State, they weren't one of the first 4 teams out. They were in that next group.
Well, which is even more crazy. How could you be in the next group, Eric, when they beat Kansas twice, won at West Virginia, and beat Oklahoma 2 out of 3? How could they be the 8 teams removed from a tournament?
That's the overall problem that you should have with Oklahoma State, is that if we're comparing them to Oklahoma, how is it that far of a gap with Oklahoma being a 10 seed, not having to play in the play-in game, but Oklahoma State, who I agree, if you're going to put Oklahoma in, you should have put Oklahoma State in. But if that's the case, how can there be a gap of 8 or 9 teams in between the two of them? The overall problem I had yesterday, and you hit on this a lot, and I heard the show last night with Tori, and you hit on it earlier, is Notre Dame and Syracuse. If the committee came out and told us Syracuse was the last team in, Notre Dame was the first team out, well, you know what? Why don't you go to head-to-head then at that point when Notre Dame went to the Carrier Dome without Colson, without Farrell, beat them out in January? I actually watched that game out in Vegas because I put a little money on Syracuse in that game and I lost. So I actually saw that game firsthand. Notre Dame was missing their best 2 players, still won the game. At that point, if you're comparing the last 2 teams, you got to go to head-to-head. It makes no sense. I'll leave you with these 2 things. I'll leave you with these 2 things, Dog.
Yep.
My school Buffalo got in. They're a 13 seed. I thought they were going to fall in that range, 12 or 13. A couple of years ago, when they played West Virginia, they were 12. I mean, listen, they got beat badly by West Virginia, if I remember correctly. Go ahead. They did. They lost that game by about 15 points or so. As a 13 seed, of all the 4 seeds they could have got, Wichita State, Gonzaga, Auburn, or Arizona. To me, they got the worst draw. And if you're Tony Bennett in Virginia, see, here's what I look at. For the committee, Dog, I don't think they want Virginia in the Final Four. There's no sex appeal with that team. They don't bring eyeballs to the set. They're a boring team. I think they put Kentucky and Arizona in their regions 4 and 5 to get them out as quickly as possible. And I think Kentucky or Arizona is going to beat them. And one of those teams might actually get to a Final Four. And I'll leave you with this, Dog. Whether it's Oklahoma, UCLA, Syracuse, Arizona State, one of these 10 or 11 seeds that just got in, they're going to win a couple of games in this tournament. It always happens. You know, you can scream about...
Listen, I agree with you. These playing games, Eric, you're right on the button. One of them will win a game and then go crazy. Now, Arizona State and Syracuse, the St. Bonnie's UCLA winner plays Florida, which is a very winnable game. And then the Syracuse-Arizona State winner plays Jamie Dixon and TCU, which is a very winnable game. So I'm with you on both points there. Jimmy in L.A., and he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Jim, good afternoon. How are you today?
Dog, how's it going?
All right, Jimmy, nice to talk to you. What's happening now? What do you have for me?
Listen, the Pac-12, this whole selection thing was just a complete mess. Pac-12, 3 teams, 2 teams in a play-in. UCLA in a play-in. They beat Arizona. They beat Kentucky. They had over 20 wins. Coach,
I was a little surprised that they put UCLA in there. As you said, they beat Kentucky, and they won at Arizona. It's a good point. 100%.
What is going on with the selections this year? This had to be the worst year. I mean, come on, the whole Syracuse thing, the Texas thing, the Oklahoma thing, Middle Tennessee. I mean, I don't know. I think there should be an investigation into the committee. Who was on this committee? We just don't want to see the head guy. We want to see all these guys, all these men and women up there talking about their selection. This is terrible.
No, I listen. You make a fair point about UCLA. I mean, UCLA, that is a tricky spot. Putting UCLA in that scenario, that really is. In the playing game, they won at Kentucky. That game was probably in Vegas, but that's a tricky spot. Paul in Myrtle Beach, California. Paul, you're up next here on Mad Dog Unleashed. How are you today, pal? Okay.
Good. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for taking my call. I coach basketball at the elementary, junior high, and high school level.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you. And I strongly disagree with you about the FBI investigation. And I'll tell you why. I believe it is a very good use of our government resources because of this. Sport is one of the best tools that we have for our young people, I believe, to teach them life lessons and teach them about character. They need to know that cheating is wrong. And even if the other guys cheat, cheating is still wrong. And there's going to be millions of these kids watching this tournament over the next month. They admire these kids. They want to be these players someday. And I think it's important for us to reinforce that point, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, you know what? But how does a coach make $9 million a year and the player doesn't? Without the players, the coach is nothing. Without the players,
I don't justify that at all. I just think that's a separate.
I mean, these coaches. No, it's not. These coaches making $7 million. Now, listen, I used to think otherwise. A lot of these coaches are making $7 million a year. Is Bagley making any money going to Duke?
No, I agree. It's criminal. I agree with you 100%. And again, these are the rules, and I believe it's important that the kids understand these are the rules. You don't cheat. I mean, you may not like the rules, and we as adults, we as citizens in our society, we have an obligation to make sure that the rules are fair. The rules are not fair, so that's on us. But also, the second. Yeah,
I can't make a big deal. I don't like. I mean, I understand that you're hurting other. And this is not the day to do this anyway. To sort of revisit the college basketball cesspool. But I am, and I who knows if the kid from Arizona got $100,000. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure eventually maybe we find out. Miller was certainly defiant about it, but we all know what goes on in college basketball. Getting these kids, they got a lot of hangers on. They play in all these AAU tournaments. A lot of them come from poor backgrounds. They need the money. They're susceptible. You got an agent involved, gives them a loan. I mean, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. He doesn't want to go to college for more than a 3-month period. That's another problem too. He's there as a waste station. That causes trouble. Rich in Massachusetts. He's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Rich, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Doug?
Richard, nice to talk to you. What's going on now? What can you tell me here?
Well, two things about the NCAA, but before I do that, just a comment about Syracuse. Boeheim is a phenomenal recruiter. He's not a great coach. If you look at the litany of outstanding talent he's had all the way back to Roosevelt Bowie, okay?
Well, he didn't coach that team. That was Ray.
Okay, but he came right after that. But my point is, if you look at them, Lonnie Cycli, Louis Ua, maybe Jacques Vaughn. If I maybe give you Carmelo Anthony, they're the only ones that met or exceeded their expectations.
Well, Jacques Vaughn didn't go to Syracuse. He went to Kansas. But
not Jacques Vaughn. I'm sorry, Sherman Douglas. I meant
Sherman Douglas. Good example.
Louis Ua had a nice career. Ronnie Cycli clearly overachieved, and so on. Anyway, that's just a comment. That aside, as far as the NCAA goes, one of the problems is it's a moving target with respect to the selections. First, it was, the last 10, how you've been playing lately is really important. Okay, Oklahoma's 2-8 or 4-11. Okay, then it's, who did you play? Or then it's how many wins did you have in your conference? And then they keep changing the criteria.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that happens is when they set up the seedings and all, they play all kinds of games. Like Oklahoma, they're probably in because of Trey Young, being a star, so to speak, or for TV, for eyeballs. Okay, but if you look at the 4 regions, take the top 5 seeds from each region. Okay, and you could go to any of the 5 regionals, not the first 2 rounds, the regionals. Okay, today, as we sit today, you have a choice to go to any of the 4 regionals for free. Which is the one you want to?
I would go. See the least is Xavier. I don't want to see Xavier in any regional, so I don't want to go to LA to see Xavier in North Carolina and Michigan. The one I would go to would be Kansas, Duke, and Michigan State. That is the one I would go to in the East and in the Midwest and Omaha. I think that's the best 1, 2, 3. Virginia's tough to watch, so I wouldn't want to go to Atlanta to see them. Villanova, Purdue. I like the game in Boston. I like the arena up there too, which plays into this. But I think from a quality of team perspective, let me go see the other 3 there, Kansas, Michigan State, and I'll go to Omaha with Duke, and I'll see that. Mike in Yonkers, New York. He's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Mike, good afternoon. How are you today?
How you doing, Dog?
Fine, Michael. Nice to talk to you. What's on your mind now? Let me hear.
Dog, I just wanted to say that people don't realize how hard it is for Tiger Woods to be where he is today. I had the same kind of procedure, Dog, about the same time Tiger Woods. I know what he went through. I can relate to what he's going through. Dog, this is truly almost Hoganist in the way when Ben Hogan had the accident and thought he could never walk again.
Right.
Dog, I am not in pain. Believe me, I am pain-free right now, but my body, I know I'm older, 20 years, something older than Tiger Woods, but I can't even tie my shoes the correct way. I have to find a way to tie my shoes and bend over. And for him to be playing golf at a championship level,
right,
to me is blown my mind, Dog. Has completely blown my mind.
Well, he's still got the hunger to do it. Now, he's got the best doctors in the world. I'm not saying you didn't, Mike. Got to throw that into the mix, too. And he is 20 years younger, but away we go. Andy in Seattle. Good call for Michael. Andrew, good afternoon. How are you today?
Pretty good, Doggy. Just soaking in all this bracket stuff. I agree with you 100% about Cincinnati with their historical style. They can't score. They like rock fights, but
they can't score.
A potential matchup with Nevada would be great because Nevada likes to go up and down, score 80, and then Cincinnati likes to, keep it under 60. And whoever wins their style will obviously come out on top. Now, I wanted to just mention Virginia real quick. 1 seed. Although it's not very exciting basketball, I do think it's much more easier on the eyes than the coach's father ever was
Dick
doing.
Bennett.
Yeah,
I agree with that. They're not a ball. They are hard to watch, but not nearly as bad as the old Wisconsin teams or Wisconsin Green Bay teams with Bennett. No question about that. Go ahead.
And so last night on all the stations, whether it's ESPN, you and Steve, CBS Network, they're all talking about the potential matchup with either Arizona and Arizona and Kentucky. Now, what I'll say about Virginia, like every time they play North Carolina, like in North Carolina does one thing well, up-tempo, freestyle offense. But North Carolina, they struggle. They get all frustrated. So I feel like Kentucky would get really frustrated in a matchup with Virginia. Now, Arizona, on the other hand, I think they're more of a chameleon when it comes to offense. They can go up and down, and they can play the slow tempo. If you remember their matchup last year against St. Mary's, another team that likes to slow it down, they were able to kind of have their way with them. So I do think Arizona will be a much tougher of a matchup than Kentucky would be.
That's a good job. Good analysis. And I like what Krzyzewski said today about Virginia. If they don't shoot well, you can beat them. And they are not a great offensive team, and that's the one thing you'd be a little worried about if you were Tony Bennett. Here's Matt in Albany, New York. Matt, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What do you have for me?
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
I sure can, Matt. Nice to have you aboard. What's on your mind now? Let me hear.
Hey, real quick, before I get to Tiger, because I want to make my point on Tiger, did you watch the OJ thing last night?
I did not. I know about it. I did not watch. He's playing Sherlock Holmes now and telling us who killed the 2 people?
Yeah, well, he admitted it pretty much last night.
Oh, he did. Oh, I didn't see that. I did see the highlights of it today. I didn't hear it, but I did not see it. So let's leave OJ out of the mix. Happy stories today, not negative stories. What's the thing on Tiger?
Today I spent $6,000 to get the Friday, Saturday, Sunday tickets to the match. I went to StubHub and I laid down $6,000 because I think that I'm not jinxing myself, but I think this is going to be a once in a lifetime thing.
So you spent $6,000 to get one seat or two badges or one badge at the Masters?
Yeah, it's two. I got the Friday event and then the Saturday, Sunday event.
To see Tiger in Augusta, keeping your fingers crossed that he's going to win the tournament or at least be in the mix on Sunday afternoon.
Because I feel like this is my only chance. I've never been to Augusta, and I'm like, I thought it would be a little more expensive, so I jumped on it, and I took a $6,000 cut. But I have to because, this Tiger, what he showed me yesterday, this weekend, last summer we were, bashing Tiger, including me, that, with him having our back surgery, we, as golfers and the sports fans in general, just think that, and you thought that, there's no way that he's done, he's finished, and now jumping,
I listen, I don't have any problem doing it. I wouldn't have gotten a Sunday round because Sunday you want to watch the tournament on TV because you can't follow the tournament on Sunday. There's a million groups. You can't follow one guy on Sunday. You want to follow Tiger on Thursday and Friday at Augusta? Absolutely. By the weekend, you want to see the whole thing. But I understand your point. Good for you. Knock him dead. Kenny in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Ken, good afternoon. Your turn. How are you today?
Top of the afternoon. You, Mr. Russo. Can you hear me all right?
I sure can, Ken. Nice to talk to you. Let me hear now. Fire away.
Yeah, likewise. And long time, probably seventh time. Let me just get Tiger out of the way, but I have an Ernie Accorsi story about you that you're going to, if it doesn't bring a smile to your face, then I don't speak the Queen's English. When I was on with Hank this morning, and I'm a rules official, I used to work for the PGA, had my own radio program, yada, yada, yada. He answered the question and I've spent a couple hours with Hank. He's very methodical.
This is on a PJ. Hank is who now? Let's make sure. Hank
Hank Haney.
Right. His old coach. Gotcha.
Right, and he was on this morning, and I couldn't even get through to Mike Breed. I was on the phone for about 7 minutes
on the PGA channel. Gotcha. All right.
Oh my God, my hair was hurting, if you know what I mean. So now, Hank answers the question. Now, I caddy professionally. I'm under the ropes. He has a game plan. He played it that way the first 3 rounds. Now, I happen to agree with you. When it was 2001, if he hit a little bleeder fade like Dustin Johnson hit at Glen Oaks, was it this past year at the Barclays? It was like a 390-yard drive. I totally agree with you. But he stuck to his game plan. Before I go to Ernie,
this is the 2-iron. This is the 2-iron on 18. Go ahead. Next.
Yeah, because I concur. He throw the playbook out that he had. He's got a birdie 18.
He has to, and you can't hit a 2-iron off the tee on a long par 4. Can't do it. I'm with you. All right, next. Go ahead.
But here's why. It was on the back shelf. If you saw Patrick Reed.
Yeah, because the putt came right back down to his feet. Yes, I saw it.
It was 2 levels. So if he hits it a tad harder and it runs up that slope, that's the only way you're going to keep it on the back shelf. But let me move on. It was must-hear radio. When you did your spot 2 years ago, not when you were hit with a golf ball, but when you're playing, you're at Shorehaven, correct?
Correct, yes.
I swear to you, Chris, that was must-hear radio. And you took, 25 minutes. Now, I play in the 3-day at Waikiko, and I know, your juices start flowing. I've listened to you from day one, back to I Miss.
Well, I love the Shorehaven. I quickly on Ernie now before we run. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I go to the Garden last week. I'm a Michigan grad. I'm sitting right on center court. It's the opening round, and there's maybe 13,000 fans. The person to my right is not in there. Person to my left, I'm looking at him. So I go, you look a lot like Ernie Accorsi. He says, I hope so, because I am Ernie Accorsi.
Okay, gotcha.
Now I go, hey, we talk about everything, because I went to school with the Maras. So he started talking to me like he knew me for 14 years. So I said, hey, what do you think about Imus going off the air? Because, Imus was like a cup of coffee for me, and I know how big Imus was to your career. And he goes, the dog. Oh, do I love the dog. And I said, have you been on with Howard? He goes, you kidding me? Howard? There's no way I'd be on with Howard. But the dog, and, of course, he referred to Mike as well, but I thought you would enjoy what
Ernie said. All right, Ernie's a huge fan. Listen, I love Ernie, and we have a long to do about that. All right, here's Bob in Philly. He's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Robert, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Doggy. It's March Madness.
Yes, it is, Bob. Let me hear your thoughts quickly before we take a quick break and get Steve Peichel in here. Go ahead.
Chris, I can't stand Boeheim, but to say he's not a very good coach like the previous guy.
Yeah, I can't stand him. He's been a good coach.
But to be fair, Chris, they shouldn't be in.
Yep.
And I know that Al from White Plains is going to be praying that Michigan State gets knocked off so they can get to the second weekend because TCU is an overrated sixth. Arizona State shouldn't be in the tournament either. And if they can get in Grayson Allen, if they can get in Grayson Allen's head with that 2-3 zone defense, they'll probably make a run deep into the tournament.
I think that's a good call there, Bob. I think Syracuse win a couple games. I think they beat Arizona State. All right, Steve Peichel of Rutgers. We'll get some thoughts, bracket, and all those things with him. We're looking forward to it. We continue here on Mad Dog.